Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, fighting between Hamas and Israel rages into a second day as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns of a long and difficult war. The Philippines and other nations condemn the surprise attack by the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas on Israel. Israel Ambassador to the Philippines Ilan Fluss joins us live in the program. The Philippine government vows to locate and assist all overseas Filipino workers and their families caught in the conflict. OWWA Administrator Arnell Ignacio tells us more later in the show. Israel formally declares war after Hamas fighters breached the border from Gaza in an unprecedented attack. Officials say the death toll in Israel has passed 700, while at least 400 were killed in Gaza. The Philippine Embassy in Israel, Consul General and Deputy Chief of Mission Anthony Mandap told CNN Philippines that at least 2 Filipinos were injured, but there were no reports of deaths. He added they are still looking into reports that some Filipinos were among the hostages taken by Hamas. The Philippine government vowed to locate and assist all overseas Filipino workers and their families caught in the war. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Israel Ambassador to the Philippines, Ilan Fluss. Ambassador, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Pinky.
I'm going to have to ask you first, how are you?
Very difficult times, I think, for every Israeli to watch it, to be, especially being overseas and watch the news. And every day we have new stories coming out. It is a very complicated time, very difficult.
You are here, and where is your family, Ambassador?
Well, my family are all in Israel. My kids, my parents, my brothers, nephews, nieces, they're all in Israel.
And tell us about the kind of communication you have with them. Anything you can share with us?
Well, first of all, of course, we had to check how they are doing and if everybody is okay. Some of my nephews are in the area, sort of fighting. My children are now being recruited to the reservists in order to support what is happening. We have called tens of thousands of reservists into service in order to come and help. So my family is okay, but you know, all our friends, neighbors, children either been hurt, injured, some were killed, some are called now into service, some were actually could not call home for 24 hours, didn't know what's happening to them. We are all there, by heart and by mind, but, and you read the terrible stories, you know, and I have to say, it's heartbreaking. I mean, the Hamas targeted not only soldiers, they targeted elderly people, children, babies, women, men, indiscriminately into the towns, into the villages, with just one purpose, to kill Israeli people. And how can you explain such a terror attack?
It was, I join you in saying it was very difficult to watch the videos, especially penetrating the border and killing and taking hostages. Let's talk about, I've been trying to look into the latest stories. Could you tell us the latest situation in Israel now, of course, following the Saturday attack and the counterattack of Israel?
So at this stage, the most important part now is actually to regain control on the southern part of Israel, to seal again the border with Gaza and not allow any more terrorists to come in, and then to deal with the rockets, which are still being launched against Israel all the time, including last night. So people are still staying in their safety rooms or trying to move out of the south to other places, and Israelis are opening the homes for families who are looking for a quiet place to stay. We're assessing the numbers, of course taking care of the injured. So the information is not fully out yet, including all the names. First stage is stabilizing the situation, gaining control. And then after that will come, of course, and we already started, and that's basically fighting back the Hamas, which is continuing attacking Israel. And I think it's very important to say, yes, we were caught by surprise. Hamas has been there, is building up its power, was preparing for this attack. And Israel, as a democratic, liberal country, cannot allow a terror organization, which is it's in its ideology. It wants to destroy Israel and to murder Israeli people.
Stabilize and control the area, you said, of course, that's number one, and I'm sure it's also trying to get back the hostages that they have taken. How many hostages? Is there a number really to determine how many hostages were taken?
So there are probably more than 100. Again, we don't have enough information. So there are probably more than 100 in Gaza, hostages. We don't have the names. We know some, and we are collecting more evidence. But they're in Gaza, and it's difficult to know what's happening there.
Right.
Of course.
So what happened was, after penetrating the border, the Gaza border, they took in the hostages and they brought them back to Gaza.
Exactly.
The question, of course, another question is on the suspicion that there are still Hamas members who have actually penetrated, again, Israel. Because there's, as far as I was reviewing all the reports, there's still a question on how many actually went back to Gaza and how many stayed in Israel.
Correct. We still, this is one of the problems. Number one, we're still seeing more efforts to penetrate into Israel. Just a few hours ago, also from the sea, there was another attack. And there are some who are still hiding within Israel in order to, attack more Israelis. There were some cases of hostages in the town, in the police station. So Hamas terrorists were still inside.
Mm-hmm.
I think slowly we are gaining control.
Mm-hmm. Are they being driven out?
Not fully.
Yeah.
So it's a big area, and you have to cover the entire area. So we're still working on that, but it is slowly we are gaining control.
Which I was hoping you could help us understand, Ambassador. When you look at the Gaza Strip, obviously that pans down from north down to south, and when Hamas penetrated this border, it went through, there were two areas initially, if I'm not mistaken, that they were able to penetrate, but subsequently everything else in that border, is it Erez?
Erez, yeah.
In the north?
Yeah, you have Erez and you have Kerem Shalom, the two main passages. There's one more. Mm-hmm. But what they did is actually, simultaneously, they basically attacked and entered through many different locations simultaneously. Basically bombing the wall and knocking down the walls and the fences and the security apparatuses, and moving in from so many different places. And that's one of the reasons that they were so unfortunately successful.
Right. And what's happening now is trying to secure that border again, where we were talking about that Erez and Kerem Shalom is the one you said a while ago. How many areas would you say right now are still considered dangerous areas near the border? Because I'm looking at maybe 10 or 13 areas, Netiv, Hasara, Derot? Also Derot, yeah. Sderot.
Yeah. So, we have towns like Ofakim, Sderot, Netivot, Netiv Hasara. There are different sizes of towns and villages on the border. And I would say, generally speaking, that most of the places are already secured,
I see.
But not all. I think there's still 5 areas or 5 villages there and one town that it's not fully secured. And secondly, we have to remember that they're still launching rocket attacks from within Gaza. So I would say that the entire southern part of Israel, close to Gaza, is still it was declared a military zone. Mm-hmm. And there is no free movement of civilians in order to allow the Israeli Defense Forces to operate there and not to hit by mistake civilians.
Right. What about mass evacuation of the people in the danger zones? Is that happening, or is it just incumbent upon them to really just leave the area because out of fear?
No, it has happened.
Okay.
Sort of people were evacuated, especially from the very close, what we call the kibbutzim, the small villages close to the border, so people,
Right.
the survivors were evacuated to family, to friends, and have to be taken care of, you know, psychologically and everything else. So yeah, they were evacuated.
Right. And I guess the sirens continue day in and day out in Israel to warn its citizens. Ambassador, I just need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Israel Ambassador to the Philippines Ilan Fluss. So the rockets are obviously a major concern. How far can the rockets launching from Gaza actually reach Israel?
Well, you know, Pinky, the Hamas is targeting Israel and Israelis, wherever they are. The rockets can get even to Tel Aviv and beyond. So when we are under attack, actually, well, we have systems who are able to identify where the rocket is probably going to fall, and then do we intercept it or not. But people have to go into safety houses,
Right.
and that's all the way to Tel Aviv. It's the entire southern to the central part of Israel is exposed.
Yeah. There's what they were calling the Iron Dome defense
Correct.
system. Tell us more
Correct.
about this, Ambassador.
Well, Iron Dome is the protection system which will shoot a missile to intercept
I see.
the rockets
what
and
you
the
were saying.
missiles, and it is a very efficient system, probably the most efficient system that we have, again using Israeli technologies, and it saved so many lives of Israelis along the last years. It is actually a critical defense system. Unfortunately, we had to develop it because we are continuously under attacks by Hamas from Gaza.
This obviously could be long, protracted, but what kind of agreement or resolution do you think is possible for now?
That's a critical question. We have to remember Hamas is supported by Iran, and they do not agree with the existence of the State of Israel. The goal is to destroy Israel and to kill as many Israelis as possible. With such an organization, it's a terror organization, as long as this is on their agenda, as long as this is their goal and this is their ideology, I have no answer to that. And this is why now when we are fighting back, we are targeting, and it's important to say, we are targeting Hamas and Hamas operatives and Hamas infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
We are not fighting the Palestinian people. We have no war with Palestinian people. Our problem is with the terrorists who are hiding within civilian infrastructure. And the Hamas is using mosques, is using hospitals, is using regular buildings, residential buildings. So that's a big challenge. And what we are saying, you know, to people, keep away from the Hamas as much as possible.
That's why the Prime Minister was saying that they were going to turn into rubble all the places where Hamas has been hiding. The problem would be collateral damage. The other Palestinians that may be around the area. But with something like this, Ambassador, you have many world leaders standing in solidarity with Israel, showing sympathy, expressing sympathy, even showing support. You have the U.S. President Joe Biden, you have the Ukrainian Prime Minister, President, and also even President Bongbong Marcos. Tell us more about how this helps Israel.
So I believe the international support is extremely important. Israel is a small country in the Middle East, surrounded by enemies, surviving difficult circumstances. And we are very close to so many countries. It's a democratic country, the only real democracy there in our parts of the world. International support is very, very important. You have to remember you have the UN Security Council, who is going to meet and to discuss the current crisis. International support is very important in order to give Israel the sense of legitimacy of protecting itself from this terrible terror attack. So, and the close allies who are supporting Israel. It's also by declarations. Of course, with the US, it's much more than that. But as I said, it's important as a message to the Israeli people. On a personal level, it is important for the government to get the international political support. We're in a global world.
As a last question, Ambassador, I wanted to find out from you what could these attacks actually mean in terms of obviously Israel, its allies, and even the rest of the world, as declared this is war.
So I think this is also an explanation for the sympathy that we are getting, because terrorism is not only against Israel. Terrorists are operating all around the world. And I mean, we just remember September 11, but of course there's so many terror attacks, and also in the Philippines you're suffering from terrorism. So I think we are one of those countries who is really in the heart of the war against terrorism, which is targeting democratic countries and democratic societies. So our fight against terror is not our fight against terrorism. And I wanted to add maybe one more thing also about the Philippines and the Filipino people, because I have to say I'm overwhelmed with really messages, if it is from the Philippine government, if it is coming from Philippine politicians, individuals, business sector, from the church community, senators, congressmen, civil society, businessmen, and friends. I'm getting so many messages, formal messages, informal messages. Of course, on an individual basis for myself, it's really heartwarming to feel this support. And as I said, it's very important. This is when friends matter, when they care for you in a time of crisis. And I'm happy to say we're seeing international support. You said the US, France, Germany, UK, and Canada, and many others, but also the Philippines.
Ambassador Ilan Fluss, thank you so much for joining me today. Very hard times, obviously. I wish to speak to you again, and I wish you well.
Can I add one more?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We have a Filipino community in Israel.
Right.
And last night we had a meeting with the Israeli Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I raised with him the issue
Please share with
about
us.
the OWWs in Israel and the hotel workers in Israel. And his answer was very clear. And that's the policy of the Israeli government. We take care of the foreign workers in Israel, of the Filipinos in Israel, the same as we take care of the Israeli citizens and Israeli nationals. They are part of our society, they are part of our families, and we'll do what we can in order to protect them and to make sure that they are safe and sound, the same as we do for our people. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ambassador. Coming up, calls for swift assistance and repatriation for Filipinos in Israel resound amid the escalating conflict between Israeli forces and Hamas. What's the next move of the Philippine government in helping Filipinos caught in the crossfire? We'll speak to OWWA Administrator Arnell Ignacio after the break. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration Administrator Arnell Ignacio. Arnell, good morning. Welcome to The Source.
Good morning, Pinky. Good morning.
So, first, siguro, Arnell, can you tell us any reports of, are there any Filipino casualties in the ongoing, war over there in Israel?
There are quite a number of reports, Pinky, that we are receiving from from Filipinos in Israel. But we advise that, especially those unverified videos and pictures, not to post it in social media. It may put their situation in jeopardy because they can be detected. Second, it instills unnecessary fear to fellow Filipinos here. But we assure OFWs and all the relatives that the OWWA, the DMW, and the Department of Foreign Affairs are closely monitoring the situation in Israel 24/7. We have been meeting with Filipino community leaders in Israel since yesterday, and we have been verifying all these reports, and we will give you full updates as soon as all this will.
So
verified.
basically, Arnell, you're saying you're not confirming anything at the moment pending further verification and confirmation.
There was one OFW reported missing, Galianor Liano Pacheco. Good news is we've already found Galianor and he's in the hospital.
Okay.
So we're taking this very, very carefully, all these reports, before we even air it.
Yeah.
Now that we found him, that we can safely report that he is in the hospital.
He's been found. Opo, nasa ospital ho siya ngayon.
Yes.
And what are the injuries? How is he doing?
Well, he's. I think he experienced. I saw a bandage in his arm, but we do not have full details. But he's recovering. He's very much okay.
Okay. And I guess I need to ask you, are there reports of any Filipinos taken hostage?
There are, but as I've said, we need to confirm confirm all these reports. And as soon as they are verified, we will provide you with all updates.
Sir Arnell, did you say there are?
We got reports of this nature, but as I've said, we need to coordinate this fully well with the Department of Foreign Affairs and provide you with verified reports as to cases of this nature.
Okay, which I completely understand. No, the situation is still very fluid, and there needs to be a lot of confirmation and even reconfirmation.
Yes.
But you know what's important to find out, Sir Arnell, is in that area where one could consider danger zones around the perimeter of the Gaza border. Marami ho bang mga Pilipino ang nandoon?
Ito ang mga numero ng ating mga Filipino. Let us distinguish the Gaza Strip from Gaza itself.
Yeah.
Gaza we have the Filipinos in Gaza are most of them are residents already, married to Israelis, and have families in the Gaza area. However, in the Gaza Strip, in the Ashkelon, Ashdod, and Isdera, there are about 200 OFWs, caregivers and workers. Yan naman ating mga natututukan. Again, sa 137 in the Gaza area, most of them are married to Palestinians.
When you say in the Gaza
So
area,
here, this area is mostly the area of conflict. So dito tayo nakatutok.
yeah. So in total, ilan po yan when you distinguished, Arnell, yung sinasabi mong, did you say 137?
137 in the Gaza area. And the Gaza Strip, about 200. Most likely, approximately, we may have about 300.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, 300 to about 350.
The whole of the Gaza Strip and Gaza.
Yeah. Okay. Any reports of Filipinos wanting to leave? And siguro more importantly, can they leave and how?
Interestingly, sa aming karanasan, Pinky, pagdating sa mga conflicts in Israel, napakarami nang nangyari ditong similar na gulo. But this is one of the worst. And bihirang-bihira ang humihingi ng repatriation assistance. I mean, them wanting to go back to the Philippines. Most requests are assistance to take them to a safer area in case we will get clearance. Mm-hmm. And most of them want to come back to their jobs.
Have you identified?
And up to now, we have not received any serious requests for them to be brought back to the Philippines.
Have you identified safer areas that they may want to stay in?
As for now, ang pinakadelikado naman ito nasa south, so we can easily bring them to areas outside of this area, outside of the south area, dito sa Gaza Strip and Gaza. We're ready. As soon as we get full clearance, all our vehicles are ready to take them to safer areas. Dito sa central, lahat pa gumagana . So that's just about 2 hours away from Gaza.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, yung problem area is really the southern part. So maybe move them
Yes.
up or inland. Ano po? Tell us more about the task force. Is there a task force in
this is
place already?
We're jointly working with the DFA, as we've always done, and also with the DMW. All our people are already in place. Full monitoring conducted every hour. And so contingency plans are all in place. So we're just waiting for clearance so we can proceed to implement all these plans. And our 1348 hotlines, all these can be used by our kababayans. The 1348 in Metro Manila, 021348 outside Metro Manila, and plus 632-1348 if you're outside the country.
Okay. Again, that's 1348 if you're in Manila. 021348, I guess domestic, tama ho ba, Sir Arnell? And
Yes,
then
yes.
international
Yes
is
po.
there. Well, this is plus 632-134-88. How is that war room? You have a war room right now, no, Sir Arnell, over there?
Yeah,
to...
dito na kami. We're identifying areas. We're putting a map para ma-identify natin kung saan yung mga areas of conflict by the hour, at lahat ng reports dito pumapasok. So we can fully monitor kung nasan yung ating mga kababayan. And kung sakasakali nga, as I've said, kung sakasakali we get clearance, we're more than ready to provide assistance to our Filipinos.
But what kind of
Filipino
reports
workers.
are you getting?
Kadalasan we're being asked as to where we are, what we're going to do, will it, kung mayroon pang mas lalala ang sitwasyon, the usual questions. All situationers, they're just asking for situationers, and we have been providing them details of this.
And I'm sure we'll keep speaking to you. Thank you for your time, OWWA
Yes.
Administrator Arnell Ignacio. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We will be more than happy to provide you updates by the hour.
Salamat po. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.